Okay, today we are going to look at Twitter, the basics, part 2. So this is part 2 in a series of 3 screencasts which are aiming to get you up and running for tweet chatting on the DIT MSc. In the first part we looked at downloading TweetDeck, we looked at sending tweets, we looked at finding and following people using the search mechanism, and we looked at sending tweets to specific people. And in this one we're going to look at different ways to follow people, so to find and follow them. We looked at the search. We're going to look at 2 other ways to find and follow people. We're going to look at how to set up columns in TweetDeck, and in our initial screencast we looked at the timeline column, the column of all the tweets that you send and the tweets that people send. And we had a very quick look at the mention column, which is anytime somebody mentions your handle, the tweet shows up in that column. And columns are part and parcel of what makes TweetDeck quite a powerful and easy to use tool, especially for tweet chatting. And we'll show you how that works. And finally, we'll look at hashtags. And one example that we look at is just to the right there, hashtag DIT portfolio. Hashtags are what people use in Twitter to signal that they're talking about a particular subject or idea or experience or emotion, book, video, whatever it happens to be the person is talking about. And hashtags are usually informally or sometimes formally agreed amongst communities of people who are interested in the same thing. So, for example, an academic conference will have a hashtag, and that hashtag will probably be set by the conference, but there may also be 1 or 2 set by people who go to the conference as well. And that's an example of one that's more formally organized. An informal one would be, say, the fan base for Justin Bieber, and they use hashtag Imagine to talk about fantasies they have in their lives about meeting Justin Bieber and things like that. And that's one that's informally agreed upon. A community just happened to start using it and it spreads through them. The hashtag here, hashtag DIT portfolio, is a hashtag that Lisa, Ray and I use to tweet our classes while they're happening. So we make our notes on Twitter and we do that by tweeting, and because it's using hashtag DIT portfolio, Ray and Lisa can see my tweets and I can see theirs. And sometimes Kevin O'Rourke contributes, and sometimes Muireann O'Keefe also contributes as well. So those are the 3 things we're going to look at. Different ways to follow people, how to set up columns in TweetDeck, and hashtags, letting people know what you're talking about. You'll need to make sure that you have TweetDeck set up and ready to go on your computer. If not, please pause the video until you do, and we'll go to TweetDeck now and we'll look at different ways to follow people. Okay, so in the first lesson we use the search box up in the top right hand corner, and we use that to follow or to find Etienne Wenger, I think. So there we go, and that's using tweets. We click on users, there we go. And I followed Etienne Wenger. I can unfollow him here if I want. I'm not going to. So that's one way to follow people. A second way to follow people is when you see the person's handle mentioned in a tweet. Christine Hendricks I'm already following. Will Watman is me. I'll go look for somebody who I am not following. So let's see. There we go. I'm not following the hybrid pedagogy, and I should be actually, because I'm interested in it. So, you find a tweet, possibly from somebody you follow. I follow Jesse Stomel. He talks a lot about online learning. And sometimes you'll see that they have tweeted a person. So if I click on that, if I click on the person's handle, it will bring up their profile. And their profile will tell me a little bit about them. This is a digital journal of teaching and technology, and it's dealing with pedagogy and new media, and I'm really interested in that at the moment. And it'll also tell me that they are followed by people that I follow as well, and I click on them to follow. So that's one way that you can find new people to follow on Twitter, and I think you probably use that quite often, especially as you will probably click through and see their profile and see if they're interesting. A slightly different way, and if you're a starter on Twitter, perhaps a quicker way, is what Muireann recommended to us in one of our first classes. If I go to Muireann's profile, so I search for Muireann in the search bar, alright, there we go, Muireann O'Keefe, and I go to her profile and I look at who she is following. And I can go to the list of who she's following and I can follow them. And Muireann is a very good resource to start with, as of course she's very knowledgeable. She was very active on Twitter and she still uses it a reasonable amount, and she's following lots of interesting people. And Twitter is built on this idea that people follow you and you follow them. And the more people you follow, the more resources and information you have access to, and also the more that you find out about interesting ideas, people, tweets, experiences and things like that. So I would recommend having a look at Muireann's profile, or my profile, or anybody else's that you're interested in, and start following people that that are listed there. I might start following the Coda Dojo actually, and I might start following John Nocturne as well. Okay, so those are two extra ways to follow people. If you want to, I follow Ray and I follow Lisa, and I follow Kevin O'Rourke as well, and so you can click on my profile and get some practice. You can follow those people from my profile. That might be interesting. So click on following, and you can see who I'm following. Okay, so that's following people. If you want to, you can always pause the video and go do that now. It's probably good behaviour as practice to go off and do that. And if not, let's move on to the next thing. So how to set up columns in TweetDeck. And TweetDeck is different from the normal Twitter setup. In the usual Twitter setup online, you have just one column, and that's okay if you're just using Twitter for small amounts of tweets, if you're not involved in conversations, if you're not looking at lots of information. But TweetDeck will allow you to set up as many columns as you like. You'll see here, it comes with a default of two columns. Your timeline. The timeline is all the tweets that you sent and all the tweets that people that you follow have also sent. And then your interactions, and the interactions are much more about you. There are people who mention you in tweets. So Lisa Noble, who I follow, mentioned me in a tweet, and she's saying here that she's going to comment on one of my blog posts. That's really useful for me to know. Christina Hendricks sent a tweet mentioning me, saying that I was looking for comments. And this woman, Emma Proctor-Legg, who I've never met before, followed me, and I got a notification that she followed me. So any tweets that are sent to you with your name, any people following you, any people making your tweet a favourite because they particularly like it, all get mentioned here, and that's quite a useful way to keep track of things that are specific to you. They show in your timeline as well, but your timeline can have thousands of tweets depending on how many people you follow. I follow 70 people, so I probably get somewhere in the region of about 700 or 800 tweets every day in that timeline, and it can be a little difficult to pick things out. This helps me pick things out. And that's what columns do. They allow you to specify particular types of information that you're interested in. We're going to add another column here. So if I click the top here, add column, and it will give me a list of the possibilities that we can add. Often people add this thing here, messages, and messages are what's called direct messages. It's a way of sending a message to somebody and them sending one to you without it being publicly available on Twitter. It's like a private email. Remember that everything you send on Twitter, all your tweets are publicly available. Everybody can see them, and they're totally 100% public. So do be careful with that when you're tweeting, especially from a professional account. But there's also the possibility to private message, but I won't look at that at the moment. You can have your favorites listed. You can have scheduled events. You can have lists. What I'm going to be looking at is the search, which is what I find most useful. You can have the results of a search on Twitter as one of your columns, and that column will update on a regular basis. It will update every couple of seconds. So let's go for a search. And I'm going to search for a hashtag, the DIT portfolio hashtag that we talked about. Okay, so I've typed DIT portfolio, or rather hashtag DIT portfolio, into the top corner, into the search bar. Okay, and as I said, hashtag DIT portfolio is what Lisa, Ray and I use to tweet our classes. And we put hashtag DIT portfolio into all of our tweets to label them as tweets about that. And that means that they're easy to search for. So, search for it. These are some of the tweets. And as you can see, they all have DIT portfolio in the hashtag. There's one from Ray, there's one from Lisa, and there's two from another account from me. And at the bottom here, if I add column, there we go. This is now part of my tweet deck column. And this is useful for a couple of reasons. Often topics that you're following will have a single hashtag. So, for example, hashtag EdChat. Sorry, not EdCat, EdChat, i.e. is a hashtag that Irish educators use to talk about education in Ireland. And there's a lot of talk about the technological aspects of education, but it's not only that. And so I've checked for that, and we can add that column. And the last update was 3 minutes ago, 9 minutes and 16 hours. So this is Irish educators and talking about Irish educational issues. And I can add that if I'm interested in following it. And if I want to get rid of it, I click here and click delete. And that just deletes the column. And I can put it back anytime I want. There's hashtag EdChat without the IE, and that's an international hashtag for international educators talking about chat. And as you can see, that's much more active in some ways. 26 seconds, 26 seconds, and 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. It's updated on a regular basis. Okay. This is also used in tweet chats. So typically, when somebody organizes a tweet chat, they organize and spread amongst the users a hashtag that everybody will use. LearnChat is a good example. LearnChat, LRNCHAT, is a tweet chat. It's a chat that happens on Twitter, and it's a chat amongst educators. And everybody who engages in that chat, and it happens usually at a specific time, whenever they post a tweet, they put hashtag LRNCHAT, and that means that everybody who is in the chat can follow it very easily by setting up a column, and you can see as the conversation happens what people are saying. So it all happens in the one column. But we'll come back to that later, and we'll do a live tweet chat so you can see how that works. Okay, so let's post to DIT portfolio. There we go. excuse my spelling. Screen chats for Tweetchat project are almost done, and as you can see, the column updates immediately. The quickest way that you'll probably find new hashtags to use is by following people and by watching the hashtags that they use, following people that you're interested in, and you'll begin to get an idea for the different hashtags that people use for different purposes and different reasons. After a couple of weeks of following people that you're interested in, you'll catch up on and be using the hashtags on a regular basis. And the ones that you use professionally to connect with people or to talk about specific things in your educational area or area of interest become automatic. You remember them very, very quickly because you see them and use them so often. For our chat, we'll agree on a hashtag and send it around in an email to everybody, so you don't need to worry about it. But those are the three things that we said we'd cover. Different ways to follow people, how to set up columns in TweetDeck, and hashtags. And what I'd recommend that you do to practice is follow people using both those methods. So find a tweet and click on the blue handle and see if you're interested in that person and follow it. And find a person who is active in an area that you're interested in and click on who they follow and go through that list and start following people. And as soon as you do, their tweets will start showing up in your timeline, and they will get an automated notification in their interactions that you follow them. And often you'll find they'll follow you back. So that's one thing to do. Another thing to do might be to send a tweet to the hashtag DIT portfolio tag so that we know that you're on. And another thing to do would be to set up and play around with the add column. Find a couple of hashtags that you're interested in, search them, and add a column. And you might even do that with DIT portfolio if you're interested in the tweeting in class. Okay, that's the second screencast, and the third will cover an actual tweet chat as it's happening. Okay, thank you for your time.